Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Bootcast with Irish Bootstrapper. I'm your host Eugene Devereaux and this is Series 3, Episode 11. Joining me today is the man who debuted on the show. He kickstarted it all just over a year ago now. I was delighted to have Mr. Shane Traynor on the Bootcast. Shane is an Englishman. He's currently based in New Zealand and he loves travel. He's got some great stories and travel tales from his adventures around the world. So I'm delighted to invite Shane back on the show 1 year later to see what he's been up to, if he's got any new stories, travel tales to tell, and just to maybe give some inspiration and motivation to people who are looking to maybe go traveling or to start a new venture or to just to do something new in their life, to challenge themselves, to take them out of the comfort zone. So that's what the Bootcast is all about travel, adventure, finding your purpose, overcoming challenges, and helping you to live a more fulfilled life. So without further ado, folks, please welcome Mr. Shane Traynor to the Bootcast. Shane, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure.
No problem at all. Love the hat.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, got the flamingos.
LA, huh?
Yeah.
So Shane, since we last spoke, you were in Perth the last time?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. About a year ago now, actually. Today, I think it's...
Yeah.
Not today, but a year ago this week, around when we last spoke or something like that.
What's happened since?
I'm currently situated in New Zealand, Auckland. Been in Auckland since February, but I've been in New Zealand since September last year. That was my next step. And for anyone that listened to the first podcast episode, that was my next step after leaving Australia, was to get the working holiday in New Zealand and carry on my travels. Yeah.
Nice. And did you kind of travel around much when you got to New Zealand first?
So the idea was to buy a camper van because they're dirt cheap here.
Really? Yeah.
You just buy your own, you're self-contained. We picked up a Toyota Estima for $4,000, so about £2,000, something like that. And it was already converted. It had like a kitchen unit in the back, bed, storage containers. That actually got written off a few months ago, but we'll come to that later. But yeah, so the plan was to buy a camper van, work for a little bit because we got here in the winter, and then just travel every weekend until the girlfriend's parents came in January. Then we was going to do 2 months of solid traveling. So work, save, travel solid for 2 months.
So you travel around a little bit. We'll come to the camper van story in a little while. Did COVID kind of impact your travels early on in New Zealand, or were you working?
We got really lucky in terms of, so we did our traveling. So Caroline, my girlfriend, her parents came out from January till mid-February, and COVID was obviously kind of around them, but nobody really took it serious.
Yeah.
They left, and then we managed to get work at a convention centre in the city of Auckland, which had burnt down. So we were doing the demolition. Oh, yeah. We had to dress in like full hazmat suits, gas masks, biohazard suits, boots, you name it.
Jeez.
And we was 2.5 weeks into that, and New Zealand announced lockdown level 4. So we literally got told to go home on the spot and isolate. And it was quite scary at the time because all the bosses were panicking and no one knew what was going on. And, we were waiting for like news off the government. But yeah, we got... we just went home and we were just on the phone to family and stuff. So, I mean, apart from the job being affected, like, didn't affect the traveling because we'd already done it, luckily.
Would you basically work at any kind of job?
Yeah, well, I have picked and choose before, but like, to be fair, let's just say like I've done the worst job of my life here, and that was picking up litter at a landfill site for 2 weeks, and that was in Christchurch.
Wow.
So I've done my fair share of shit work, let's just say that.
Literally
picking up shit.
Jeez, yeah. And like, some people might go through life and they might think they're too good to do something like that. Did that ever cross your mind, like when you're picking up litter on a landfill?
Let's just say I wouldn't do it back home, but because I'm here and I thought, oh, you know what, like I can tell the kids and the grandkids when I grow up, like all the jobs I've worked at, and it's interesting. And I got to learn about, I've actually recently discovered that I actually want to work to learn as
Yeah,
well as obviously get paid. But because I think like I know how a landfill site works now. Not It's not just like dumping. It's like it's how things get recycled, how it gets buried underground, and
yeah,
plus we got to go in all the diggers and all the trucks and stuff around like as a little bonus. And the guys there were really nice to work with, and yeah, they knew it was a shit job, so they'd let us have loads of breaks, and it was all right.
yeah,
But it was like, yeah, it wasn't the best job in the world. But now, like, I don't really think like, oh, that's too good for me because like I don't think I have any right to do that.
yeah, yeah. Cool. What are you working at the moment then?
So I'm currently working in Auckland City Hospital. Yeah, going back to when I got laid off at the work
Oh yeah.
at the convention centre. So we was looking for work. So we thought like there's got to be something out there because essential workers only. So
Mm.
we just happened to look online, and there was a job going at the hospital for a distribution coordinator. That's like um, getting all the deliveries in from like the PPE. That's like masks, gloves,
Yeah.
syringes, any medication, that sort of stuff. That all comes in, and then we have to distribute it to all the wards, all the children's wards, you name it. We have to get it all round the main city hospital. And so yeah, we went for the interview, and they took us on straight away because they needed people like
Yeah.
ASAP. Just because if COVID did get out of control, we were there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So that's where I'm still working now.
Very good. Did you find that a big change, like being, say, the landfill scenario or even any other job to working in now like a clinical, much cleaner, hygienic environment?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like they they emphasize the fact everywhere to be hygienic.
Mm.
Like there is literally like hand sanitizer on every corner. Um, there's PPE if you need it. Like there's signs everywhere. I mean, there's certain areas that I have to walk in and I have to get geared up to go
Mm.
in. Like I've been in like operating rooms
Mm.
to put stock away, and I have to put like a hairnet on, like um, things that cover your boots and gowns.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Is New Zealand is kind of was one of the better countries for locking down quickly, and
mm.
what's is it kind of starting to open back up again now, or?
Yeah. So for the past 3, maybe even 4 weeks now, we've been gone down to lockdown level 1, which means everything's open now. The only thing that's closed is the borders. That is it. Like we're back to normal. It's like nothing happened.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, the
gyms are
borders are
open.
fully closed still.
But they're letting people in,
Yeah,
like the Kiwis that are abroad, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
they're still fully closed.
Mm.
Obviously, they're letting people out, but in terms of like people that want to come on holiday, like
Mm.
it's a no go.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, everything's back to normal. So shops are normal, cinemas, gyms are open. There's no 2 meter distance, nothing. Like it's weird like being here and kind of forgetting sometimes that like back home in the UK and even Ireland too, that it's like people are still having to distance themselves. There's cases every day, like
Mm.
in the hundreds, and yeah, it's just totally different world here at the moment.
And let's backtrack now to why did you leave the UK? Like, or what was it that got you to? Just for anyone who didn't listen to the first episode, what was it kind of that made you want to go traveling or just change your lifestyle? Like,
I wanted to change, and I didn't know how. Um, I needed something different. My life was a bit like boring, stagnant. Like I had my music and my DJ. on the side, but like I felt like I don't know, I was getting a bit of a dead end with that, and I just needed a break from it. So as I mentioned in the first podcast, that an old friend of mine, he had some inheritance money, and he said to me, "Do you want to go traveling?" And I wasn't sure at first. He's like, "Oh, just come to the the travel agent with me," and so I did decided to go, and then travel agent was like starting listing all these places we could go and flights, and the flights were actually really cheap, like 6 flights we booked for like I think £1,000 or something, including a return from Australia. And I don't know, something inside me just went go for it, so I just put down a deposit there and then, and I was going, and I hadn't said anything prior to my parents or nothing. That it was just so out the blue, even for myself. I just wasn't sure what I'd just done when I walked out.
and did you feel afraid then, or were you excited, or did you regret it at any point? Like,
no regrets, but definitely excitement and a bit fearful as well.
Yeah. And what do you think was the fear side of it? Like, what was that?
It's going into the unknown, isn't it? It's leaving everybody behind, for extended period of time. That and you've never done that before. You're totally out your comfort zone. I think that's what it was, because I was so comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I'm going to be going to these places. I don't know what to do. I don't know where I'm going to be living.
Yeah.
Am I going to get lost? Like, it's all these, but people do it, don't they? And you just kind of, you read things online about how they do it, so you just kind of follow suit.
Yeah. And so what was the first country that you went to then again?
There's China,
Yeah.
funnily enough. Beijing.
So totally opposite to the West in many respects, in terms of culture, and we won't really get into the political stuff. What was your first impression of China when you came into the airport and you left for wherever you went to? Was it like sensory overload?
Yeah, it was weird. Like, nobody really spoke any English in the airport. It was a bit difficult to navigate round, because I got stopped a few times because I'd been to Turkey twice within like a couple of years, and I was held for an hour at the airport by the security, and they were making phone calls left, right, and center, and they wouldn't let me go past. And I just kept looking at my passport and then looking at each other, and I was like, "What's the problem?" And they just went, "No problem." But they're still holding my passport. But they eventually let me through. That was weird. And taxi driver didn't speak any English, and he was driving down dodgy alleyways. It was 1 a.m. in the morning when we landed, so like we was like, and there were workers in these alleyways that were digging holes for, like, I'm guessing phone lines or something, or electric.
Yeah.
And we thought, right, this is us. We're dead now. But no, it was good. And same thing happened when we got into Thailand. It happened to be another late flight with a taxi driver that didn't speak much English. We went down alleyways. But, after them two countries, you just get used to going down dodgy alleyways. It's part and parcel of traveling.
And like, through those experiences then, did the fear kind of leave you then? Like, say, when you booked the flights, you were back home, there's a little bit of fear there about going into the unknown, but...
Yeah, you just go with the flow to begin with, because you have no other choice. So you just go with it. There's no turning back. So you just go with the flow. You just use your instincts. You be smart, and you just go with it. And eventually, you'll just be so used to it. You'll adapt very quickly. And as humans, it's just in our DNA. We adapt. We have to. And I think you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable again. Yeah, and I adapted very, very quickly. And then I loved Asia. I loved meeting people that weren't English, because I was using apps on my phone to translate, and it was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was just good speaking to locals and getting lost and seeing new things, and that's the beauty of traveling. And I can't recommend it enough to anybody that has never done it.
super. What's your favorite country in the world or favorite place?
Definitely Vietnam. I think. I mean, it's a tie between Vietnam and New Zealand because both countries are beautiful. The people are so friendly in both countries. Yeah, it's really hard to decide because I had a feeling you was going to ask me this question today. I was thinking, what would it be? But I think I don't know, tie between Vietnam and New Zealand for me. I think Vietnam maybe just maybe because it's a bit more chaotic, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah. Did
As
you
you know.
did you go to North Vietnam, Hanoi and Sapa or Halong Bay or any other?
Yeah, I went to all those places, bar Halong Bay. I stayed in Sapa was really cool. Stayed in this like a tribe's little hut for like the night, and they cooked us food, and their back garden was looking over the rice paddies. It was surreal.
Cool. Class.
Yeah, and like when I was traveling, actually, like in Asia, I said to myself, I want to do an acting class
Hmm.
and see if I can get in. And one of my I have a list. It's called 30 before 30. Do 30 things before you reach the age of 30, like kind of like a bucket list. And one of them was to be an extra in a movie. And so I went to a few acting classes in Perth, and I really enjoyed them. They were like couple of weekends. And yeah, following that, I appeared in an advert for a hotel in Perth, and the payment for that was just basically we got a load of free booze and free food, and we just had to literally eat and drink whilst being recorded. Just do silly things with food, so that was pretty random.
Yeah, yeah.
And then another thing, I went on this website called Star Now, and
Oh yeah.
you've heard of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there was an acting job on there to be a featured extra in this movie called Ghosted that was going to be on Australian television Channel 9,
Hmm.
which is, well, it's kind of just one of the standard channels. It's like,
Hmm.
one of the big five. And yeah, I went in there, and I was just supposed to be like a dinner party kind of backyard scene.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and the director, there was like maybe about eight of us, and the director came up to this girl and myself, and she said, could you guys read out this line for me? I want to see, yeah, I don't know if I need a boy or a girl to read this part, so could you do it? So I read the line, and the girl read the line. She went, okay, I want you. So she picked me
Hmm.
to have a speaking scene
Yeah.
in the movie. So I got to say the line and be on camera, and it was yeah, it was quite fun. And I've actually got the footage on my. I'm not allowed to release it yet
Yeah,
because
yeah. It's
it's
not out
been
yet.
shown and stuff, but I'm not allowed to release it. But
Right.
yeah, I got to be in a movie, and my name was in the credits, and
Cool.
yeah, that was a really fun experience. But I mean, they had to film the shot 27 times
Yeah.
because of all the different angles.
Yeah.
But and I was there for like 5 hours just for this like 20-second scene. It's crazy. That's my biggest thing, I think, because I really wanted to pursue acting, like 'cause I liked it, but my biggest problem was remembering lines. And I know there is techniques, but like I struggled in the acting class. Like we had to remember all these lines for the next day to like do the performance in front of everybody, and I remember really struggling to remember the lines. And I think, right, yeah, that's probably my acting career over.
Shane, how do you get around in do you have a driver license or
So I just used my UK license, which is fine. Um, yeah, and I did have a car. So I had the Toyota Estima, which was the camper van that I mentioned. So yeah, funny story about that. So it actually got written off, and I no longer have it anymore. Um, which is really sad because this was our home. This was our actual home when it got written off. because we was, that's where we slept and traveled in. So yeah, so it's just so one day we were with the girlfriend's parents, and they were pulled up at a gas station, and we were just pulled up outside this church, and just waiting for them. And this driver just came out this driveway, and she was driving a Ute.
What's
And
that?
so people that don't know what a Ute is, so it's basically like kind of like a 4x4, but without the back bit, but it's got a trailer instead.
Mm.
And the trailer just she swung left too far. She didn't go wide enough,
Mm.
and the trailer just clipped the back of our car, took the light out, dented it inwards, and it just looked like a wreck, like just the whole back of it. And the funny thing was, there wasn't a single dent. I think there was a chip of paint on a screw on our car. um, so we thought, yeah, we'll get this fixed. So we phoned the insurance, and they were like, "Yeah, well, when you get to Auckland, send it in for repair." And we did, and then that we just got dodgy looks off the car repairers, and they said, "No, we need to send you to a welding company, because this is going to have to be welded on this. Going to have to get a new panel." So we went there. They looked at it, they assessed the damage, and then I didn't hear from them for a week. And then I rang up, and they were like, I said, like, "What's going on with the car? Like, can you fix it?" And they went, "Oh, didn't your insurance tell you it's a write-off?" And I'm like, "No, we didn't know." Yeah, sorry, it's been written off. I
So
was like, "Oh, cheers for telling me." Like,
they just got rid of it, and
yeah, I
you
think
actually
because it was too like it wasn't worth the cost, because it was
yeah,
probably
yeah.
too expensive compared to the price. But
Jeez.
luckily, we had it like fully comped, the
Yeah, yeah.
insurance, so I got a full payout
Mm.
of the car of $4,000.
Mm.
But it was actually, to be honest, it was actually a blessing in disguise, because around that time when the virus was hitting in and people were trying to
Mm.
get home,
Yeah, yeah.
The prices in the cars were going down, because backpackers were trying to sell them to get
Oh,
them
yeah,
out
yeah.
quick. So the car that I had, similar cars, were going for like $2,000. So
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
like, got quite lucky there.
Good stuff. Jeez, that's
Yeah,
mad.
but yeah, but yeah, but that was with the car. But I haven't had a car since now. I've opened a business during lockdown as well,
Oh, yeah.
an online e-commerce business.
So,
I sell kitchenware and homeware around the world.
yeah.
Um, flourishmyhome.com if anyone wants to check that out.
Flourish my home.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's check that out. And how's that going? Like, do you run that all yourself, or do you have someone that helps you? Or...
Yeah, so I only just started it like about a month, and yeah, just over a month ago. And I've only just gradually started getting sales. I think after 2 weeks of opening more, I had like my first sale through that, but that's through like advertising on Facebook. Um, it At the moment, well, it is expensive, because if you don't know what you're doing, which I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning. Um, like I've spent about £350 on advertising at the moment. Yeah, which so currently with my store, I've had sales, but I'm not in profit at the moment. Um, but that will soon change when ads get better, and as time goes on. Because when you go on Facebook ads, there's something called a Facebook pixel, which installs, it's a bit of code that installs on your website, and that learns the audiences that come to your website, so we can, when you do ads in the future, can really hone in on the people that are going to buy from your store. So it's just a bit of a time game at the same time. But yeah, like the reason why I've gone down this direction of opening my own business, and to be honest, I want to. I don't want to work for money anymore. I want money to work for me, which is having money that are coming out my assets into my income, as opposed from money that's coming from my income from like a job that I'm working for. Um, I think that's the road to getting rich, basically, or being financially free, I'll say.
Very good.
I could talk about that for hours.
And with the ads, like how much is the cost per click, or like is it
It
expensive to
varies.
do? Like if you get one sale, say, like
Mm. It depends. Like, so I run. So, for instance, for one ad campaign, I'll have some. So, within an ad campaign, you'll have like something called ad sets. And ad sets, you can set like a budget within them, for instance, and your demographics are like location, male, female, age, that sort of stuff. So, I'll have 10 ad sets, and then I'll run them all for, let's say, 24 hours. And then after 24 hours, you can see which ones are doing the best. So, the one with like the lowest cost per click, but have had the most cost per clicks, like they're obviously going to be better ad sets. So turn the ones that aren't doing good off and keep the ones that are doing good on. So it's just about analyzing and learning about what's good and what's not, and then calculating your, like, you know, compared to your product and how much you're spending on advertising fees. You need to calculate the numbers basically to make sure you're not burning into your budget.
flourishmyhome.com, yeah.
Yeah. So my most popular product at the moment on there is the H2O infuser water bottle.
Oh yeah, cool.
That's one I've made the most sales on. But yeah, I think the virus is like, it's opened my eyes a bit, and it's made me want to be like learn more, because I think if this happens again, or if anything else happens again, like I want to be able to provide to my family and provide for myself and provide for like if I have children in the future. Like, because if I lose a job, don't get me wrong, like, if I own businesses later down the line, they're still going to be affected. But I feel like I'm gonna plan better than if I just rely on a job. I'm not secure. No one's secure in a job. So I think that's why my mindset has changed to like want to become financially free.
Is there any kind of business leaders or anyone that you look up to or that you kind of learn from?
I think just because at the moment I'm learning about all these guys, and I'm like finding new people every day. I don't. I mean, I think that's probably would have said Robert Kiyosaki, because he makes a lot of sense. But there's a lot of like real estate and property um, developers that I look up to and aspire to be like, because that's the field I want to go in. So there's a company called White Box Solutions, and it's run by a guy called Lloyd Girardi, and he became a millionaire from none of his own money. He he bought a plot of land. He made it into 8 houses without his own money,
And
and now he's
how
a millionaire. There's a lot more to it than that, but he's got loads of videos on how he's done it,
hmm,
and he does like training for it and stuff like that. But yeah, he's that's
what,
kind of what I want to do.
what's his name again?
Lloyd Girardi, with a G.
Shane, if you had one tip or piece of advice for someone who's looking to face their fears, whether it's starting a business, going off traveling, doing a bungee jump, or just doing their first 1K run or something, what would be your top tip for?
Um, you'll regret it if you don't, I think, because, well, personally for me, I don't want to live my life and look back in a few years' time and say, I wish I'd done that, or I wish I'd done
Mm,
this. Like, if you've got it in your head and you want to do it, like, just do it.
yeah,
And I know it's so easier said than done. I get it. Just do it. Like, it's so cliche, isn't it? But I mean,
brilliant.
I don't think anything stopping you. And if something is stopping you, look at how you can get past that.
Mm,
You know,
good
if
stuff.
it's finance, then save. If it's fear, speak to people. If it's like, so for instance, with like investing, like people say investing is risky. Yeah, it's risky only if you don't do your research and your due diligence, and then you eliminate the risk. all you have to do is just eliminate the risk, and it will eliminate the fear by speaking to people, seeing, look at others that have done it, and they're fine. So there's plenty of ways. Google's your best tool.
Yeah. Shane, it's been a pleasure having you back on the Bootcast for this catch up. If people want to follow your journey or reach out to you, get in touch, what's the best way?
So Instagram at the Alright Traveller, and that's probably the best way to get me now, because I closed the blog, I deleted it, I got rid of it. So just Instagram.
Okay, the Alright Traveller, and your website now is flourishmyhome.com as well.
Yeah, so if you want to buy anything and make me a rich man, then please go on there, and I would love your money. Thanks.
Shane, mind yourself. It's been a pleasure.
Excellent. Pleasure's
All right.
mine.
Cheers,
mate.
Thanks. Bye. If you did enjoy today's episode, please leave a review or rating wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether it's Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, or any of the other podcast places. Most places you can leave a review or rating, so I'd really appreciate that, or share it on your social media or with your friends. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter as well, and for any of the outdoor and kind of activity stuff, I'm on Strava as well, so Irish Bootstrapper on all of those handles. And remember, become the journey.